We have a lot to talk about. NFL Week 18, playoff seeding on the line, playoff lives on the line. This is a playoff. Week 1 of the playoffs starts today. We got two teams or four teams, two games that will directly determine if the team is going to be playing another game in Wild Card Weekend or if they're going to be sending their bags and their families are going to be going to Cabo and fucking off. Okay, we are locked in. Week 18 NFL season is going to have all of the dramatics, and it starts on Saturday. Panthers at Bucks. Winner of this game. Well, I can't even say that because if Carolina wins, they are the 4th seed. If Tampa Bay wins, they need to go and watch New Orleans, Atlanta on Sunday. And if Atlanta wins, Tampa Bay is in. They are the NFC South champs for the 7th year in a row, despite losing 8 of their last 10, 7 of their last 8, okay? So Week 18 is loaded. Let's go. Baker got the ball down 10 in the 4th quarter 2 different times. He threw a pick and fumbled against the Dolphins. I think the Bucks team is just broken. I really think they're broken. I think Todd Bowles is not the guy. I think he's a great coordinator. I would like the Jets to consider bringing him back in the building as a defensive coordinator. Don't forget that Super Bowl that Tom Brady won when he was throwing the ball to Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, playoff Lenny in full swing. That defense was disgusting. Todd Bowles was the defensive coordinator of that defense. I just think some guys are meant to be coordinators, and I think Todd Bowles falls into that category. This offense is 23rd in the NFL in yards per pass attempt. Hold on. We just gotta. The impact of Liam Cohen leaving Tampa Bay for Jacksonville can't be understated. This offense was top 5 top 5 in passing offense, top 5 in rushing offense last year, top 5 in yards per pass attempt, top 5 in yards per carry. Right. Fast forward to this year without Liam Cohen in the building, they're 23rd in the NFL in yards per pass attempt. They're 18th in scoring offense, and they're 25th in offense in yards per play. Liam Cohen was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield, a career about Dave Canales a few years ago helped revive Baker's career. Liam Cohen helped solidify him as a top 15 franchise guy. First year without Liam Cohen in the building, and this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense has fallen off a cliff. Baker Mayfield, 9 touchdowns, 8 interceptions since week 11. Tampa Bay losing 7 of their last 8, 8 of their last 10. And they've lost their last 4 games by 1 score, which is ironic because their first 4 wins came by 1 score. So I think Tampa has just sputtered. I can't trust them. 23rd in the NFL in yards per pass attempt. And the stronger part of this Carolina defense is their secondary. The first time they played Tampa a few weeks ago or a couple weeks ago in Carolina, they had Mike Evans. They had Jalen McMillan. They had Chris Godwin. They had Emeka Egbuka, and Baker still didn't have the greatest game. Interception on that 2-minute drill, even though it was a miscommunication. Mike Evans thought scramble drill. Baker Mayfield still threw with the route called for. Miscommunication between both of them. You don't see that often. Either way, he threw an interception. He's thrown 8 of them in the last 9 games to 9 touchdowns. So I don't trust Baker. I trust this Panthers defense that I think is slightly underrated. They're 11th in terms of total yards allowed per play. Baker saw the secondary, didn't do too well. 145, 1 touchdown interception. I like Carolina plus 2.5 to get in to the playoffs. I think they're a better football team. They have better wins on their resume. They also have some pretty bad losses, but they haven't been as cold over the last 3 months of the season at this point as Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield's playing worse than Bryce Young right now, which is crazy to even think about considering if you told me that in October, I would have laughed in your face, but that's the reality of the situation now. I think the secondary in Carolina is pretty good. The only weakness on this Carolina defense is their pass rush, and their run defense isn't great either, but it's better than what it was a year ago with Derek Brown. So I trust the Panthers more. I trust Dave Canales way more than I trust Todd Bowles and Grizzard, however you say the OC's name there in Tampa. Give me the Panthers plus 2.5 in this game on the road to clinch their spot in the NFC playoffs. I love Carolina in this game all day long. I think the Bucks are just too broken. The more fun game of this slate, Seahawks at Niners. The Seahawks clinched the NFC West title and the number 1 seed with a win. San Francisco clinches the NFC West and the number 1 seed with a win. What more could you want in a Week 18 football game than the number one seed in the conference on the line? Not just home field advantage for the entire NFC playoff side of the bracket, but home field advantage all the way up until the Super Bowl for San Francisco on the line today. San Francisco also clinches the 5 seed with the Rams loss or a tie to Arizona. Of course, if San Francisco does not win this game, Seattle is pretty locked in to one of the top, or it's either the one or 5, Seattle. If they lose, they're the 5 seed. These two played back in week 1. Seattle had a couple of fumbles. Brock Purdy had a couple of interceptions. San Francisco dominated time of possession, 37 minutes to 22, and they did take the victory 16-13. Brock Purdy recently has been on a heater. They haven't played the greatest competition. That's neither here nor there. Third highest completion percentage among all starters in the NFL. Top 5 in passing yards per game. The most touchdowns per game out of any quarterback in the league so far this season, but he has thrown 9 interceptions in 8 games. He did throw 2 picks against the Seattle offense or Seattle defense the first time they played. This defense, I think, is the 3rd best in the NFL, behind Denver, behind Houston. But Philly's defense is right up in there. Since getting Jalen Phillips, I think they allowed the least amount of yards and points per game in the NFL. So their defense is up there as well. I think without a doubt, those are the top 4 defenses in the NFL. Seattle is 6th in the NFL in turnover percentage defensively. San Francisco is 22nd. So Seattle creates way more turnovers than San Francisco does. Both teams, however, are top 3 in turnover percentage offensively, which is the percentage of drives that offensively that result in a turnover. So both teams turn the ball over a lot, but Seattle creates way more. And everybody talks about it all the time, rightfully so. Turnover margin often decides games. I think Seattle has a better chance of creating more turnovers and winning that turnover margin than the San Francisco 49ers do, especially when you look at the games where Sam Darnold has played very, very bad so far this season, or really over his career. It's when teams get a lot of pressure. San Francisco does not get a lot of pressure. Last in the NFL in sacks, 30th in pressure rate. And both teams have struggled to run the ball recently. So if Seattle, or really all year, if Seattle can't run the ball, I think that does bode well for this Niners defense, but the Niners aren't that great against the run. They can't run the ball that well either, but over the past 2 weeks, CMC has averaged 5.5 and 6 yards per carry over the last 2 games, but Seattle has the best run defense in the NFL, allowing a league low 3.7 yards per carry. This Seattle defense, the Marcus Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, Julian Love, Devin Witherspoon, Tariq Woolen, Nick Emanwari, they have guys, athletic freaks of nature scattered all over the Seattle defense. They're the real deal. Like, they generate pressure. They stop the run. Ernest Jones, they create interceptions. They create turnovers. They're the real deal. And as good as this offense is with Brock Purdy, top 5 passing offense, by the way, all year with Brock Purdy and Mac Jones, as good as this run game has been over the last few weeks of the season, I'm all over the Seattle Seahawks in this game. I think they are just a nightmare matchup for this Niners team, especially their defense now without Nick Bosa, without Fred Warner. They don't have a pass rush. Their best pass rushers were both on the injury report. Yetur Gross-Matos, Keion White, both on the injury report. Keion White didn't practice. So, and if you can't get pressure on Sam Darnold, if he has time in the pocket, he will be surgical. I think we're going to see some surgical stuff out of Sammy D. I don't think Brock Purdy in this offense will be completely shut down. However, I do think Brock Purdy will throw a couple of interceptions. Maybe there'll be a fumble here and there. And as I'm looking at this, I am taking Seattle -1.5. For all of those reasons, the over 49.5 is really jumping off the screen at me here too. So we're going to add that to the slip right now as well. The over. Ooh, that's a high total, low key. I don't know if I like that. It's in Santa Clara. We're looking at 60 degrees and rainy. So we're not going to take the over. We're not adding the over to the slip. We're not adding the over to the slip. I would take Seattle if San Francisco was fully healthy, but they're not, guys. On Tuesday, George Kittle didn't practice. Ricky Pearsall didn't practice. Or no, Kittle was limited. Ricky was limited. Yetur Gross-Matos was limited. But their 2 best offensive players, Trent Williams, CMC, did not practice on Tuesday. Keion White, one of their better pass rushers, did not practice. Juszczyk also did not practice. Even if the 49ers were healthy, I like Seattle, but they aren't. So I like Seattle even more Give me the Seahawks minus 1.5. Not a ultra mega universe play, but it is in that territory. I do like it. And if Trent Williams and CMC doesn't play, and Monitor Kittle, he didn't play last week, those guys are out. And you're getting Seattle at 1.5 right now. And if those guys are ruled out, this line could jump up to 3. I could even see Seattle getting the hook here at 3.5. So I would bet Seattle early and often, because the Niners are only going to get unhealthy. You know, like they could get Kittle, they could get Trent Williams, all of them could play, and I still like Seattle. So with the chance that those guys aren't going to play, jump on Seattle's line early and often. 1.5 here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's get in to the Sunday slate of games now. The Saints at the Falcons. Atlanta, 3.5-point favorites. You're going to give me Tyler Shough as an underdog? If New Orleans wins this game, Tampa is out. And if Tampa beats Carolina on Sunday, they're out. I assume both these teams are playing starters. Tyler Shough is a 3.5-point dog. Give me the Shough show all day long here. Give me New Orleans plus 3.5. The Falcons defense did just make Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford look silly. So I might be blindly trusting my dog, the Shough show, who's going to make me look very good once I start reposting all of the takes I had on Tyler Shough before the season and during the draft. But New Orleans defense here, ladies and gentlemen, they're a little bit slept on. They only allow 4 yards per carry. Let's slow down Bijan, make this passing game beat us, make Kirk in this passing game beat us. New Orleans has allowed the 5th least amount of passing yards per game this season. Probably because early on in the Rattler days, teams would just be running up the score on them. They'd run the ball, control the clock, 4-minute offense, get out of there with a W. But they're also top 12 in yards allowed per pass attempt. This secondary is not to be messed with a little bit. In New Orleans. Make Kirk Cousins pass, make him drop back, make him beat you through the air, slow down. Bijan Robinson took me, and my brain just malfunctioned there for a second. Atlanta's defense is obviously pretty good, though. It is pretty good. It is pretty good. I'm not denying that. But it's a Tyler Shough-led offense, baby. It's a Tyler Shough-led offense, baby. This is definitely more of a homer pick. This isn't a logic-based pick. I'm riding the Shough show till the wheels fall off. I only get one more week to watch my boy spin that thing. And boy, has he been spinning it, bro. Shout out Chris Olave, 1,000-yard receiver. Stud. Shout out Tyler Shough. Stud. You're going to give me New Orleans and the Shough show. With the hook there at 3.5, I'm taking that all day long. Take it to the bank. Browns at Bengals. I could give a fuck. Wait, I couldn't give a fuck less? Is that what it is? Or is like I could give a fuck? No, I couldn't give a fuck less about this game, not touching it. Packers at Vikings. Green Bay has locked in the 7 seed. They haven't decided if they're going to rest their starters yet. Their starters played the first half of the Bears game last year, and the Bears are winning that game 14-0 at halftime with the starters in. I'm not touching this game. If I was, I would bet on Minnesota, though, but I'm not going to. Gun to my head, I had to bet it. I'm betting the Vikings. I'm not going to, though. Cowboys, Giants, both these defense blow. Last time these guys played, well, that game was actually electric. Game of the year candidate that nobody wants to talk about because there's been so many candidates like that. Russell Wilson, Malik Neighbors back in like week 3, Dak Prescott, George Pickens. Yeah, it was incredible. The over-unders at 51.5. And this is a player prop game as well. Even though the game is in East Rutherford, it's looking like sunny. It's looking sunny, 38 and sunny in East Rutherford, New Jersey, for this game. So I think you could potentially take some player props monitoring the weather here. I'm talking Pickens. I'm talking Wan'Dale. I'm talking CeeDee Lamb. I'm talking Darius Slayton, Tyrone Tracy, Jackson Dart passing and rushing. I'm talking all the player props in this game are on the table here as long as the weather remains 38 and sunny in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Give me the over 51.5 in this game as well. Titans, Jaguars. The Jaguars can be seeded anywhere from 1 to 3 and 5 to 7, depending on the outcomes of these games Sunday. So bear with me here. Stay with me here. We're going to go through it here. They clinched the AFC South with a win. They clinched the 1 seed with a win, and both Denver and New England losing. Not very likely. Denver's playing the Chargers backups. New England is playing Miami. They clinched the 2 seed with a win and a Denver or New England lose. They clinched a 3 seed with the win. They are 12.5-point favorites. They will likely be the 3 seed. But if they lose, this could fuck everything up. Houston would then have to beat Indianapolis. Highly likely Houston are 10.5-point favorites. Jacksonville clinches the 5 seed. If Jacksonville loses and Houston wins, Jacksonville clinches the 5 seed with a Bills loss or tie to the Jets. Highly unlikely. Or a Chargers win. Highly unlikely versus the Broncos. That ain't happening. So if Jacksonville somehow loses, they are likely the 6th seed unless the Chargers practice squad beats the Broncos, who are playing for the number 1 seed. The Jags will get the 7th seed. If they lose, Houston wins, Buffalo wins, the Chargers win. The Chargers are not winning. They're benching their starters against Denver, who will be playing for the 1 seed. That's how they get the 7th seed if they lose. The Jags are going to beat the fuck out of Tennessee anyway. Will not be betting it because Cam Ward has played good football down the stretch here. But I think the Jags win. I don't know if they cover 13. That's kind of steep against the Titans team that's been playing hard lately. They're playing their hearts out. That Titans, they haven't given up. Shout out Cam Ward, highlight player. I need like 100 yards out of Cam Ward to cash his future. I need like 5 touchdowns out of him to catch his touchdown future. So just give me 100 yards to the air today, Cam, and we'll be good to go. I like the Jags in this game. Not going to take it though, but I think if they win, they're likely the 3 seed. That's what we're looking at here for Jacksonville. Colts at Texans. Will not be betting this game. These games are weird. It's hard to place a bet on some of these games with all these big spreads and so much playoff implication. It's just hard. It's hard to bet them. It's hard to bet them. So I'm not going to do it. I'm picking my spots for being surgical. I think Houston blows them out, but I'm not going to bet it. But I think they blow them out. There's a lot of seeding implication with the Texans. If Houston wins and Jacksonville loses, remember Jacksonville 12.5-point dogs against the Titans. If Houston beats the Colts and Jacksonville loses to the Titans, Houston is the 2 seed and the AFC South champ. If Houston does not win the division, they clinch the 5 seed with the win or a bunch of other stuff. If they lose, that is highly unlikely. If Houston chokes against the Texans, they are the 7 seed unless the Bills lose to the Jets. That's the scenario there. I think they blow them out. The one spread that I like today from a heavy favorite is Denver's over the Chargers, depending on which starters LA rolls out there, okay? Because Justin Herbert's not playing. He said a lot of the starters will be resting as well. What starters are they rolling out there? And will we know that before Sunday? Because remember last year, the Chiefs benched their starters against Denver in Week 18. The Chiefs did not score a point. Denver beat the fuck out of them. Denver are 12.5-point favorites with the 1 seed on the line. Sean Payton's not afraid of running up a score. I think this could be a safe play out of all the favorites because of what we saw last year against the Chiefs. The Chargers backups against this Broncos team. You take the Broncos all day. Broncos winning, they're the 1 seed. The lowest they could fall to is the 3 seed. The Chargers basically conceding to be the 7 seed. Only way they clinch the 5 seed is if they beat the Broncos with their backups and Houston loses. They get the 6 seed if the Bills lose to the Jets and they beat the Broncos with their practice squad. That's the scenario for the Chargers. Lions at Bears. Bears are 3-point favorites. This is a fun game. I think both teams, I think the Lions are going to try and play a little bit of spoiler here, even though they're not spoiling a whole much because the Bears clinch the 2 seed with a win or a Philly loss. So if they lose to the Lions and Philly wins, then the Bears would be the 3 seed. The Lions scored 50 on this. I don't know if it was exactly 50, but they scored a lot on the last time they played this Bears team back in September or early October, early on in the season. I got no feel either way, Lions or Bears in this game, but I do like both offenses. The Bears defense is bottom 5 against the run and the pass in terms of yards per carry, yards allowed per pass attempt. They don't generate a whole lot of pressure. That's how you mess with a quarterback like Jared Goff. That's where he's shrunk so far this season. We saw it last week against the Vikings team that was just in his face all day long. And defensively, the Lions secondary is just in complete and utter shambles. Caleb Williams playing the best ball of his career. I love the over 50.5 in this game, monitoring the weather. Currently 31 and sunny right now. Make sure we keep an eye on the weather for that over. So I'm going to put an asterisk next to this. It's in the slip, but if there is some inclement weather, if it's snowing, if it's sleeting, we will not be taking this. It will void. The bet will void off the slip, won't count it to the record if there's some inclement weather. Bills, Jets. The Bills are 7.5-point favorites. The Bills are likely locked into the 6 seed unless they lose to the Jets or the Chargers practice squad beats the Broncos and the Titans. I highly recommend taking the Bills minus 7.5. Honestly, seems like the easiest bet to me all day on the board here. The Jets are not only garbage, but they're playing their backups. Literally, 2 starting safeties out, starting nickel corner out, other starting corner out. They shut down their sack leader, Will McDonald, for the year. Brady Cook is garbage. This whole Jets team sucks. They don't have a 400-yard receiver. You take the Bills minus 7.5 all day here. I will not be betting them because I don't bet against the Jets. Let me take you back to the Adam Gase Jets back in 2021 against The Los Angeles Rams, I believe it was Ty Johnson, ran for about 400 yards. The Jets beat the Rams in like week 16. I was all over the Rams in that game. I put every last cent of my account on the Rams in that game, of course, and the Jets would come back and the Jets would upset them. I will never bet against the Jets since that moment. Not happening. You guys should, though. You guys should. The Jets, I've said it the past 4 weeks. Like, the Jets are not going to cover. I'm not going to bet against them, though I don't bet against them, but they're going to get blown out, and they've gotten blown out every single week. So take the Bills minus 7.5. I'm not adding it to the slip. It won't be on my DraftKings account because I'm an ultimate jinx. You can't do that. You can't bet against the team you root for. It's just sacrilegious to me. Give me the Bills, not adding it to the slip. Chiefs at Raiders, meaningless game. Couldn't give a fuck. Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites. I don't care. Not betting. We'll have it on as background noise or as background. I don't even know if I'm gonna even watch this game. I doubt I'll look at it. Cardinals at Rams, also not touching. The Rams are 7.5-point favorites. The Rams clinched the 5 seed with a win and a San Francisco loss. 5 seed with a San Francisco win, and if San Francisco wins on Saturday, I feel like LA might bench their players. I don't know. We will see. They'll be locked into the 5 seed if San Francisco loses. I wouldn't touch this game. I don't know why. I just couldn't get a feel for it. 7.5 feels like a lot for a team that's been reeling as of late, not playing their best football, and they might bench their starters. I wouldn't touch this game. I wouldn't touch the game. Dolphins at Patriots. Patriots clinched the 1 seed with a win and a Denver loss. They clinched the 2 seed with a win or a Jacksonville loss. They are the 3 seed if they lose. I don't think they're losing to the Dolphins. This game I like a lot. There's a lot of stuff that I like in this game. Unironically, this game will be my most wagered on game of the slate just because of quantity and just my unit size. There's a lot of things going on here. We have Stefon Diggs allegedly strangled and abused and assaulted his chef. Innocent until proven guilty. That's the world we live in. So, there is some noise going on behind me. Not sure what that is. Okay, either way. If something comes out by the time this starts, by the time this game happens, that he's guilty and he's a complete scumbag, then he's a complete scumbag. We don't condone any of that type of behavior over here at Fire Sports Takes, obviously. But there's been a lot of shit going on where people just like to yap and make up accusations and stuff, and I think that's equally as sickening as the people that commit these accusations. You're just trying to ruin a guy's reputation. Though I don't stand either way, so we're not going to jump to conclusions here. But I will say this: with all of this going on, this seems like a prime spot where Stefon Diggs is going to find the end zone. So add Stefon Diggs anytime touchdown to the bet slip, please and thank you. I also think the Patriots cover 10.5 in this game. I think they do. They have been blowing out garbage opposition all year, including the garbage New York Jets from a week ago. They should want the 2 seed because of how shaky Denver is. They could get bounced second round easily if they get the bye. And you would rather have a team like Jacksonville come up or a team like Houston or a team like LA come to New England, come to some cold weather, play me in the Northeast. So I think this 2 seed matters a lot, especially when you look at how shaky Denver really is. I think that you really want this if you're New England. I think Vrabel really wants it. I think they're going to play balls to the wall here. They're not going to take their foot off the pedal. They're going to come out rambling. And this Dolphins pass defense absolutely sucks. Drake May with time in the pocket is sensational. Has been all season. They haven't really played anybody that good, to be fair. But we're not gonna get in the Drake May shtick today. I've become the Drake May guy on TikTok. Every time I go live, everybody in my comments, oh, this guy hates Drake May. Yup, but I don't want that to be my meat. I don't want that to be my thing. I don't want to be known as the Drake May hater. I'll take it, but I don't want to be known as that, even though I am a Drake May hater. Either way, Miami, bottom half the league in sacks, bottom half the league in pressure rate. Their defense is also bottom 10 in yards allowed per pass attempt and yards allowed per carry. Not to mention their 2 best defensive players got hurt last week. Jordan Brooks had a hamstring thing, and Chop Robinson, their best defensive end. Well, Bradley Chubb, but Chop Robinson's a beast as well. Best defensive end is concussed. That's 2 of their best defensive players. I think New England comes out of the gates and just fucking steamrolls these guys. Give me New England minus 10.5. Give me New England first half minus 6.5. Give me Stefon Diggs anytime touchdown because that just feels right here. And we're not done with Stefon Diggs. We'll get back to him at the end of the episode as well because there is some incentive-based gambling that we might be doing surrounding Mr. Diggs over there in New England. If he's innocent, or I mean, if he's guilty, scumbag, we don't condone that behavior. Get him the fuck out of here. Get him out of New England. Wouldn't expect. I mean, I'm not shocked. If he's guilty, I wouldn't. I'm not shocked. That's just the type of guys they have over there in New England. If he is guilty, if he is innocent, that chef should never fucking see this. It's just disgusting. She should go to jail. Also, I want to say this. I watched Dave Portnoy's video where he does the whole like innocent until proven guilty shtick, which is it's not even a shtick. It's the objective truth. That's how the law works in this country. He also said, "Yeah, I've had a private chef. I don't know how a private chef has ever earned back pay because that's apparently what it is. Like it was a dispute over back pay between the chef and Diggs. Diggs didn't like it. Whatever. Didn't read the full report. That's the gist of it. How the fuck does a chef have? How was a personal chef owed back pay? What the fuck is that? So Diggs didn't pay the person? Why would Diggs do it? Diggs has got a gazillion dollars. That just makes no sense to me. It seems fishy. It really does. But either way, Diggs touchdown. We'll be back. We'll be back for you, Mr. Stefan. Commanders at Eagles. Eagles are 7-point favorites. I love the Eagles in this game. The Eagles get the 2 seed if they win, and Chicago loses. They're pretty much locked into the 3 seed, I believe. Don't quote me. I'm pretty sure. Mariota is a stretch to play. According to Dan Campbell, the Eagles defense is the best in the league over the past 2 months, and the Commanders offense sucks, the Commanders defense sucks, especially at defending the pass. Give me the Eagles minus 7 here. I think they take care of business. I think they really want that 2 seed because the bank's not the bank. Lincoln Financial, not an easy place to play either. So I think the Eagles want that 2 seed not as bad as the Patriots do. I don't think they need it as bad as the Patriots do, but I think they really want it. I think they're going to come out here and try to put belt to ass to the Commanders, who are going to be playing Josh Johnson, who stinks against one of the best defenses in the NFL since I think over the last 2 months. I think there's not a team that's allowed more points or more yards per game in the league than the Philadelphia Eagles. Their defense is the real deal. I think they win this game. I think they dominate. Best game, not the best game, but we end the season, the regular season, right? There's no Monday Night Football, is there? Yeah, we end the regular season with one of the greatest rivalries in the NFL. Ravens at Steelers in Pittsburgh. Baltimore 3.5-point favorites. There's no status on Lamar Jackson. If he plays, I think the Ravens win. But the Steelers are getting a little bit overlooked here, ladies and gentlemen. The Steelers at 3.5-point dogs at home. Without DK Metcalf, which is not ideal. This offense without DK Metcalf, the passing game especially, not ideal. But this Ravens defense is also garbage. And I know a lot of you guys are going to point, but Devin, they had DK Metcalf against the Ravens a few weeks ago. He was their best weapon offensively, like 150 yards. And I agree with you. But I also think that Aaron Rodgers, with time in the pocket, is going to be able to be surgical against this Ravens defense that is very, very bad. Bottom 10 in total defense, bottom 10 in passing defense, 29th in sacks. The defense is awful. And Aaron doesn't need DK to cook them. He just used DK as the main vehicle for cookage. That was kind of a bar, low key. But yeah, that's what happened. DK went off last week, or the last time these two played. I think the pass catchers in Pittsburgh suck. I think the corners in Baltimore also suck. Nate Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey. Don't know who their other corners are. Let me look it up real quick. And offensively for Baltimore, Derrick Henry's obviously a man on a mission. The Packers had a top 10 run defense going into that game. Oh, Chidobe Awuzie and Marlon Humphrey. Yeah, not ideal. Not ideal. Alohi Gilman, TJ Tampa. Kyle Hamilton's a dog, but he lines up all over the field. He's not like a true free safety. Either way, Ravens pass defense, not good. I think the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers, if he has time, will be able to dissect, will be able to carve partially. I don't think he's going to throw for 405 touchdowns, but I think the Steelers defense is also good enough to slow down a Baltimore offense that outside of Zay Flowers doesn't really have a reliable pass catcher on the outside. And JPJ, although Zay Flowers went off against this Ravens team last time they played, JPJ is more than capable of slowing him down. I feel like I think he could be potentially up for the task. TJ Watt also, Mike Tomlin, is optimistic about TJ Watt being available for this Week 18 matchup. It all boils down to, can the Steelers stop Derrick Henry? And their run game woes are not as bad as they were at the end of last year. Derek Carman's been a big reason for that. He has been a beast in the middle. Shout out Steelers by Joey. I think I saw a graphic, or maybe he tweeted it. The discrepancy in rushing yards allowed per game by the Pittsburgh Steelers defense with and without Derek Carman is tremendous. If Lamar plays, the Steelers are in trouble. But when I was doing this, my gut keeps telling me Steelers plus 3.5. That just seems like a lot of points for a Ravens team that has constantly let me down time and time again. Even if Lamar Jackson plays, how mobile will he be? Even without DK Metcalf, these corners and this pass defense sucks. Aaron Rodgers with time will be able to carve. I think the Steelers cover this 3.5, even if Lamar Jackson does play, even if TJ Watt doesn't play. Give me the Steelers to cover the 3.5 points. That's a lot of points for a hook in a divisional matchup like this with Mike Tomlin's defense, with Aaron Rodgers, with the division on the line at home in Acrisure. And listen, I don't like to give Steelers fans credit, but I have been there before for a Jets game. That place gets loud. I'm not gonna lie. I undersold it at the time because I was angry that they beat the Jets. First game after the Jets traded for Devontae Adams last year, Sunday Night Football. Ball literally hit Garrett Wilson in the chest. He dropped it, intercepted. Beanie Bishop touchdown at the end of the first half. Game was over. I think the Jets had a lead in that game as well. It was just not a good time. The guy next to me was being insufferable. Either way, that place can get going. That place is a good atmosphere. It's gonna be bumping in there in Acrisure. And I feel like historically the Steelers have done pretty well against the Ravens. They just got to be able to stop Derrick Henry. And that's the biggest thing here. Derrick Henry has been a man on a mission. 1,400 yards this season. He just coming off of the game where he had the most career carries, tied his career high in touchdowns. He's a fucking beast. He's a problem. I think he's still one of the best. He's still the best running back in the NFL. I don't go, fuck. I don't go, pure runner. Pure running back, downhill, north, south. He's the best. I don't care. That's the only thing that concerns me, because even if you could be the steel curtain, Derrick Henry's on, you're not stopping him. He's 5 yards a carry every single time, especially if this Ravens offensive line can move the Steelers defensive line the way they were moving the Packers defensive line a week ago. We will see. This game is a coin flip. Take the plus 3.5. Take the points in a game that's a coin flip. And the team that's getting the 3.5 is at home. Give me the Steelers plus 3.5 in this game.